go. I got another podcast episode. We got a pinch hitter tonight for Miss Deborah McCollum, and I'm sure I'm not even going to say anything else because I feel like the subtle smirk on this man's face signals to me that he's got a message for Deb. I could be wrong, but I feel like he's got some kind of smart comment to make. So today's guest co-host is my brother, back for the 100th time, Jordan Takimoto. What's up, man?
Happy Monday.
Oh, gross. That's very funny. Yeah, it is. We are recording on a Monday. We got a little behind. I was on vacation, so Deb and I kind of took the week off, but we still needed to get something out there. So I threw out the bat signal for Jordan Takimoto, a fan favorite, always a fan favorite, and it has been a minute since you've been on the show.
I know you've almost gotten like too big for me. You have all these, wonderful guests, and you just forget about poor old Jordan.
Poor old Jordan.
That's
a lie. We've never gotten too big.
I'm sure they all bring the same amount of laughs. I'm sure. I've heard them all.
The laughs per minute.
Yeah, laughs per minute. I'm sure it's the same.
You know what? Despite what you may think, your episodes are very popular. The people like these episodes, so they're going to be thrilled that you're back for another episode. And I'm always excited to talk to you. We were just talking off air. It's like, I'm going to try to keep this one contained because typically these episodes go a little bit longer. And Rachel knows when, my wife Rachel knows that when you're on, it's basically you, Trav, and there's one other person that she's like, yeah, if you're recording with that person, it's going to go a little longer. So she's okay with it. She doesn't mind. I'm just saying, she knows I'm going to be gone for a while.
Which is crazy because we do make like a concerted effort to like keep it tight in general, because we can kind of just do this for ever.
It's true. Well, you and I have talked, and I've said on this podcast before that you and I have taken a trip to LA before. And I think one of the first questions I forgot who it was. It wasn't Rachel. She knows. But one of the first questions someone asked was, did you guys run out of stuff to talk about? And Jordan said, he spoke the entire time. Josh does not shut up. And it's true. We always have a good time chatting. So why not put it on air and hope we don't get into trouble. So that's why we're here tonight.
I will say, speaking of like trips, last year we took an unfortunate trip together down to the Central Coast, kind of after Thanksgiving. And so that's what, a 5-6 hour drive there. And we literally went back to back. So 5-6 hours there, picked up a car that was broken down and that was then repaired, and we went 5 hours back. So I will say, for that ride, I know for me personally, that first 30 minutes on the way back was a little quiet, but then like we just got a second wind, and we were like, it was literally, for a 10-hour day driving together, we probably spent 9.5 talking.
Oh yeah. And I'll admit, had some tummy issues on the way back. That I think that I attributed to the quiet conversation. Ada decided, and I knew better than to do this, but we decided, hey, let's try this hot chicken place that's in town where the vehicle is being repaired. I think I told us the story before, but we were on our way back from Pismo Beach, and my wife's car, I forgot what the exact issue was, but it was a big issue, and it was the day before Thanksgiving, so we had to scramble. We found a place, but they couldn't get the part in time to have it done that day, and so we had to leave it there, come back about a little under a week later to pick up the car. And so Jordan was kind enough to go with me on that trip. But anyways, on the way back, we thought, hey, before we head back home, let's stop at this hot chicken place. Guess what? Bad idea, at least for me. I think I'm too old to mess around with that stuff, especially before a 6-hour drive. And so, yeah, it was a little quiet and had to make a very quick restroom stop. We'll leave it at that. We don't want to gross anybody out, but you can use your imagination. It wasn't good. And then after we made that bathroom stop, conversation continued like normal.
Oh yeah, we rallied for sure.
We rallied. You didn't have anything to rally about. You were just waiting for me, thinking he's struggling right now. We gotta clean him out, clear him out.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh man, I realized I forgot my water. All right, we're going dry mouth this time. Hope for the best. So, anyways, we could talk about this nonsense forever, but we're not going to. Tonight we are doing a top 5 episode. I look back. Oh, what's up?
Before you start,
sure.
I always have to derail this thing before we
please
get going. So
should be the name of the podcast.
I have one moral dilemma. Okay, just you've been gone. You've been vacationing with your family, so you don't know what's gone on in the Sacramento area. You've just been out of the loop. So I just need to
Okay.
fill you in something I tweeted about, and I need your response. And I kind of wish Deb was here because I also kind of need her response because she's partially um, she's relevant to this story.
All right.
So while you were out having fun with your family and your loved ones, we were here just dealing with the maniacs that live in Sacramento. So last week I went ahead and got my haircut to the local place that I think I frequent, and you've been there once or twice.
Okay.
Um, and so there's one guy ahead of me for the stylist that I requested, and really nice girl. She's done my hair a couple of different, like several times, so she kind of knows me. I know her a little bit, and so she had a client in her seat before it was my time, and they were almost done. You could see on the little monitor it was about 5 minutes away from my turn. So they finish up, and nothing's weird. The guy's maybe a little quiet. He might have had an accent, so I don't know if English was his first language, but he was kind of paid, and there was kind of like an awkward interaction. She asked him, "Hey, do you want a product?" And he's like, and he kind of mumbled no, and then he changed his mind, and he tried to get some product, but which actually ended up being shampoo. So she kind of had to navigate all of that and kind of clear things up. And she gave him a really nice gel, and she went on her way. And so she said, "Hey, Jordan, give me a couple minutes. I just need to clean up my station." So, they have a bunch of TVs on where I go. And so I couldn't really hear, but you kept hearing her talk, just using the number 7. And I was like, okay, I don't get what the problem is. And I knew the guy, I saw his haircut, and it definitely wasn't like a 7 on the clippers. So I'm not sure what she was doing, but she was also rubbing her wrists, both her wrists and her hands. Um, so I'm like, okay, this is weird, but whatever. Like, I don't really care. I'm just trying to get in and get out without any sort of social mishaps. That's my goal in most functions. So I sit down, and she's still rubbing her wrists, and it's like this is like super weird. She's rubbing her hands, rubbing her wrists, and I was like, okay, well, what's the deal? What's going on? Are you okay? And she's like, so the guy before you, he paid for what they call 7 MVPs. And what the MVP package entails is washing hair, obviously the haircut, washing one's hair, and then giving a neck massage. So the man apparently wanted her to give him basically the haircut. And when he asked for 6 more MVPs that he had paid for, he just wanted his hair washed 6 times by this lady, and
Ooh,
also the neck massage that comes with it. Um,
that's crazy.
and so she was really sore, and she finally had to cut him off. I
Hold
don't
on,
know
hold on.
who we were dealing.
You said cut him off. So he was requesting more than 7?
Mhm. Yeah. So he did it the first time, and he's like, the way she made it seem is like he's like really excited. He's like, "Hey, can I get 3 more?" And she's like, "Okay." It's like, this isn't unusual. And so then like at the end of the shampoo and the massage, he's like, "Okay, can I do 3 more?" And she's like, "Yeah, I guess you can do 3 more massages." And I mean, you can't get more haircut, obviously.
Dang.
That's all gone. So you're just wanting this woman to just rub your head and just rub your shoulders. It's like, who are we? Are we dealing with Deshaun Watson? Why are you wanting just this poor girl? And mind you, like, this is a bigger guy, probably over 200 pounds, and she's like the smallest
Sure.
woman I like that's in the store. So she's probably under 110. So she's really tiny,
Sure.
these tiny little wrists. And so she's just going down on this dude's neck for however long they do it. If it's
Man.
5 minutes, 5 times 7,
Dang.
35 minutes on the neck, and then whatever, 5 times 7 for the scalp massage. So she worked on that man's head for an hour straight. And I was doing the math on my way home, and it's like, that's almost $200 of a
Easy.
massage
Easy
and
200.
shampoo.
And
So
200, it's a
like
$200 massage. This is why Deb should be here. It's a $200 massage from a person who's trained to cut your hair. They're not a
yes,
masseuse. So you're paying
right.
you're paying masseuse price, more than masseuse price for a haircut and a back rub.
Right. And like I get like times are tough for dudes, but like just download an app. Like it's gonna be a lot easier and less costly to just start swiping than
Or call
having this
Deb.
poor.
Mermaid therapy.
Yeah. We wanted him to call Deb. I couldn't do. I felt bad for the girl. I tipped her like 40%. Because I
Dang, that's
felt
pretty
bad because
good.
I don't think he tipped her either on the 200. I think
Oh,
he might have tipped her on the one, and I can't confirm that either. I don't think he tipped her.
that's. Can you imagine? He calls Deb and he's getting a massage. He's like, "Okay, when are you gonna cut my hair?" He's like, "Aren't you supposed to cut my hair too? Like, the massage thing's cool, but I need a trim as well. What are we doing?"
See, the problem with that too is like legally the stylist can't go anywhere below the neck, whereas Deb, it's like full body. So it's like that's I couldn't even imagine. And I told her it's like okay, I'm made me feel a lot better. I'm gonna be a pretty easy client because I'm not gonna ask for 7. And then she's like, oh yeah, that's good. I've been having a rougher day because the guy before him asked for 12. So I don't know if he's sending clients her way, but
What?
she's 10xing just these MVP treatments, and she's just
That's
rubbing
insane.
dudes down.
That's insane. Well, okay. Can you imagine? He's just not wearing pants underneath the apron, the
Yeah.
haircut apron.
Well,
Like, wait a
he was
minute.
wearing sweatpants, so it's like, hey
Yeah,
man,
yeah, I bet he was.
logistically, I don't know if that was the best idea.
Or maybe that was his exact plan. Well, and you imagine if he had some. Can you imagine if he thought it was like a rub and tug, and he's like, "Man, she's not getting the hint. All right, 3 more." He just racking
Yeah,
up this massive bill. He's like, "This is not. This did not end the way I thought it was at all. This is not what my
yeah.
friends told me."
It's for
That'd be an
premium
amazing
members.
prank. They send him to sports clips and tell him to ask for the MVP.
The MVP
He's expecting
times
something
7.
completely different.
Yeah.
Man, I went back as you were speaking. I went back to your tweet. That is very funny. I missed that one somehow. But yeah, I've never heard of that. I've never heard of that, and that's insane. Well, and so let's just be honest. I mean, we'll call them out. They're not a sponsor. It's sports clips. Sports clips. We won't say the location, but it's sports clips. And so if anybody's familiar with sports clips, part of what they do is if you do this MVP thing, they have like one of those like massage guns typically, and they kind of just like run it over your back. It's free for the first time. Typically, it's free the first time you go to a new location. I don't get that anytime I've got my haircut by choice, but if it's free, it's like all right, I'll get the more expensive package. But I can't even imagine asking for that. It's a wild thing to do.
That's what I told her, like, she's like, yeah, it was just like the fourth time is weird. I was like, no, ma'am. It like after the second time, it's weird to just ask to double up, you know.
Oh, sure.
And so I told her like that's weird behavior. And then she kind of agreed, but she couldn't say that first. But
Oh man, see that needs to be a company policy. They need to put a stop to that. Like we can only like MVP one time and get out of the chair, unless you want me to give you a full haircut again, and we'll buzz that bad boy. But other than that, we can't just do a massage. That's insane. He's like
yeah,
a
no,
full sports game because you know I got sports clips. They show you sports on TV. That's like a full
yeah.
sports center segment.
Oh yeah.
That's like
Yeah.
an E60 story.
Yeah. No, she didn't like deal with any clients really afternoon. Like between noon and 4 when I was there.
Man,
Or before I was there, she just I think just dealt with him.
yeah, and like you said, no tip on top of that. It's tough.
Yeah.
Man, all right. Well,
So
that's a solid story.
I just had to get your perspective because, again, I mean, I think we both know what he's trying to get out of that haircut. And again, like I tweeted, it's not a haircut.
No, he's not a haircut, and like I said, he wore sweatpants for a reason. I think.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, that was intentional.
Yeah.
Well, I'm gonna keep an eye. It's been a while. I've been doing my own hair recently. I've just been buzzing it myself. But I'm gonna have to go back and just check it out and see if I witness this. Like I want to see this for myself now. I don't want it personally, but I would love to be in the chair next to someone who does that because like I feel like I need to see this with my own eyes.
I felt like I was like a bystander to a crime. Like that, just sitting there and not realizing what was going on. But hearing it back, it's like, oh, I just let that happen without
It almost
knowing.
was like
I feel
haircut
guilty.
prostitution.
Yeah, yeah, essentially. And I'm just, sitting out front, like on my phone,
Yeah.
and it's just like that's happening. This poor girl's just gonna break her wrist.
He thought the hair gel was supposed to be massage oil. He's like, why did you put this on my head? It's not where
Yeah,
that
yeah,
goes. The whole thing sounds confusing for this man. That's crazy,
yeah.
man. Well, that's very good. Well, that was a good derail. I'm glad you shared that story with us because that is wild. But well, anyways, today's topic we decided to mix it up. It's been a while since we've done a top five, And this is actually an idea that you brought to the table a long time ago, and I kept it in my notes. And I thought, yeah, this would be a fun one to do, especially because you've been doing the podcasting for a while. You've been a guest ever since I started podcasting with Character Combine, so it's been 5 years of you having guest spots on the podcast. I know, and I know you're an avid podcast listener, so you understand the world of podcasting. So I thought, if it's not Deb that does this episode with me, you'd be the uh, easy choice to tackle this topic. Today's top 5 is dream podcast guests that have to be fictional. They cannot be real people. So it has to be a fictional, fake character person. We thought that would be fun. Obviously, I have a huge list of people that would be really exciting, real guest, dream guest one day. But we thought it would be even more fun to come up with a list of top 5 fictional podcast dream guests. And so I had a lot of fun making this list. It was much harder than I thought it was going to be. My list got really long, so I had to dwindle it down to 5 people, as I know you did as well. But I think I have a fun 5, and yeah, let's get into it. So, do you want to go first?
Yeah, I can definitely do that.
I wonder if we have any. We might have a little bit of crossover potentially, but I also think
I don't.
I bet you took that into account too, though.
I have 9 total, but like I
Dang.
think the first 5 are good. So if I have to pivot, I can pivot, but I don't think we do. I'm gonna be honest.
Uh,
I'd be surprised. You definitely don't have. I would say 3 of mine. 2, I'm not sure about.
well, so based on what you're saying, we probably don't have any of the same ones. Yeah, because I think there's a couple. I would say 2 on here that I think you and I would be in line on potentially, and I think you would know that about me. So the fact that you're saying no is, we may have all 5 different ones, which is great.
So what was your thinking in making this list? Because like my thought is they have to be someone that has like accomplished something.
Oh,
Someone that has like accomplished something, someone that is obviously good, has that gift of gab to talk, and then also yeah, some sort of not even a connection, but something that you guys can relate to, I guess.
yeah. I mean, mine was kind of all over the place. It had to do with, it was pretty broad. It was either the personality of the person, it was the stories that I think the person could tell on the podcast that I think would be really interesting, uh, and just how interested people would be in hearing from this person. So it kind of spanned all over the place. And some of them, I even thought, like, I went a step deeper and I thought, okay, what kind of clips could I get from this person? What kind of like promo clips
Mhm.
could I cut for this? Some of these people, a couple of them in particular, are walking clips basically, and I think
Yeah.
they would bring the fire every time. And a couple of these people, I think would just be, I think would be hilarious. And so, and then I think, a couple I think would just have really good stories, and then one I think is just more selfish from my part. But so that was kind of the criteria. It was
Okay.
all over the place. But that was the fun thing about this specific topic, is that there were no rules. Like, it just has to be fiction. It can't be a real person. And so, yeah, it made it fun. It also made it way more difficult than I was expecting.
Oh yeah, it wasn't super easy, but I think I have a solid top 5.
All right, cool. Why don't you kick us off?
Okay. Now,
Oh,
to
hold
my
on.
defense,
Sorry, hold on. I forgot that. Now, did you do this in order? Because mine's not so much in
not really.
mine's not in order of like who I would want the most versus the. It's not like 1 to 5 in order or anything like that. But I did save some of the more fun ones for last.
No order.
Okay, perfect,
Yeah, it's kind of random.
perfect.
So this one actually, with the exception of this one, this was probably the first thought, and it might be, in my opinion, the best one.
Okay,
Like I said, I think it's a personality thing. Like you said, just social clips, and then also I think it kind of is relevant to the other people you've had on. Now, with all due respect to the people you've had on, this is going to be very insulting, but I think you'll understand. You've had a lot of this type of entrepreneur. You had a lot of gym owners.
sure.
Okay, you've had a lot of people that train others. Okay, and
Okay.
they've been fine. They've been good. They've been good guests. But this is like the ultimate alpha of the gym world. Okay, like some of these gyms you hear, and it's like those guys don't have cup holders. This guy has stockholders. Okay, so we're gonna go to the alpha of all gym owners, and we're gonna go with White Goodman.
That's a
He's
great
like
call.
the ultimate bad guy of probably my lifetime. Like he's probably a top 5 villain
Sure,
in terms of dudes. But like I also think like he just dropped some bars
he does.
that like don't make sense, but I think they would be great for the clips. And I mean, let's be honest, this is gonna sound bad. Sorry, Deb. It would be fun to see him sexually harass Deb.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So,
Well,
I
we do it
hmm?
on Zoom, so there's no physical contact. Yeah, but yeah, he would have a real issue. It's like
Yeah.
read a lot of books.
All the lines all the what?
Talking about all his books and
That's right. So we have a guy that likes to break a physical sweat and a mental sweat. He does it all. It's White Goodman, He's gonna want to mate with with Deb, and you
throw out a lot
guys
of
can.
metaphors.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, let's take
Exactly.
the
He's
bull by
gonna
the horns.
yeah, grab the bull by the horns. See, I don't know. This is just gold right here.
That's
And
awesome.
again, very, very I love the gym owners you have, but like none of them can compete with White Goodman. So
Well, he's on a global scale,
WHIT.
a globo scale. Yeah, so it makes
Yeah,
sense.
exactly.
He's doing a
He's
different.
better than you, and he knows it.
Yeah,
So sorry to I don't even know off the top of my head who would be offended by it, which of your gym owners would, but
but you know
you,
what?
you can't compete with him.
But that's the thing. That's the thing that would benefit him. Having him on would benefit everybody because I think it would challenge the competitiveness of everybody. So his presence is gonna raise the bar for everybody else, right? It's just gonna push them to a different level. So it's actually a beneficial thing for everybody.
Iron sharpens iron.
Iron sharpens iron. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's pretty
Look at
good. I
that.
like that. That's a great. Now I'm assuming you would get him in his peak physical form, not post
Yeah,
credits,
yeah. Yeah, no, pre tournament, yeah.
because post tournament would not be a fun interview. He'd be
No.
very angry.
Yeah, yeah, we don't need that.
No, not so
That's
much.
that's when we that's when we bring in the other gym owners, the ones that are in shape.
Peter LaFleur. So
Yeah, yeah.
the everyday man, gym owner. That's a good call. I like it. All right. Well, I'm going to go with my first one, and this one I don't think would surprise you at all. I think it's anybody who's listened to the podcast. I think this was the first person that came to mind because I think the amount of clips that this person would bring to the table would be insane. And I think you also want to look for someone who would be excited to be on your podcast. And I think this person would not only be excited, but I think it would become a massive problem. I think their excitement level would cause them to lose their mind and try way too hard. But for the sake of the podcast, I think it would be a lot of fun. I'm going to go with the world's best boss, Mr. Michael Scott. I think Mr. Michael Scott would be a lot of fun. I think it would be. That's one that I think he's just going to run with, and I think at a certain point I'm going to lose control of the podcast, and he's just going to do his thing. We might see Prison Mike, we might see Date Mike, we might see all of his different characters. Ping maybe, which would get us in some trouble. That's the thing too. Like he's a real wild card. He's his all the that's what she said jokes. His love of comedy would be awesome. But then I think he would also push the limits a little bit and potentially say something that would offend the people. But I think getting him on the podcast would be a lot of fun. Also,
Yeah,
someone you know
that,
would be into Deb potentially.
that's what I was gonna say. And you know what? I shouldn't have said we want to see White Goodman sexually harass Deb. That was aggressive, but
Okay,
you get what I'm saying. It would
that's
be
gonna that's
funny.
gonna
It would
stand
be
the
funny.
yeah, it's gonna stand. But I'm not gonna clip that.
Yeah, no, it's as long as everything's safe, it would be funny.
Hold
Because
on.
we like Deb.
This is a wild podcast because you started the episode off by telling a story about how you felt uncomfortable at sports clips for the same reason, and then you said that you never know on the Connectable podcast what's going to be said.
No, okay, and so maybe I mean, because it is sexual harassment, but seeing White Goodman attempt to flirt. Whoops.
Uh oh.
Seeing White Goodman attempt to flirt and Michael Scott attempt to flirt with Deb would be funny.
Yes, and I
So
knew what you meant.
maybe not sexual harassment. That's problematic. But
Yeah.
no, like you said, it's the ultimate wild card. I personally am a fan of Date Mike.
How do you like your eggs in the morning?
Having like your eggs in the morning.
Yeah, I think that would be That would be a great interview. Like I said, and he would be so excited to be on a podcast. As small as his podcast is, I don't think he cares. In fact, the problem would be just like that episode where they do the local ad. I'd be concerned that he would start giving me tips, and he's like, "ABC, always be closing." Like I think he would start throwing stuff my way. I'm like, you know what? That's okay, Mike. Just go sell some paper. I'm gonna do my thing, and we'll call it good.
I feel like you see his creativity also when he goes to Ryan's college class
Yeah,
and has like the little candy. So like he would drop like some lines for you.
sure.
I also think you could have used him in the early stages of this podcast because he would have had like he has thousands of names for things, so he would have been able to come up probably with a better name than Connectable.
Oh, 100%. I could have just opened up his book and yeah, I'm sure he has a ton of company name ideas. So we could have
Yeah,
used it. Michael Scarn as well. Get a little appearance from Michael Scarn.
Michael Starr, and there we go.
We got some good ones. So yeah, Michael Scott is my first choice.
Okay, this is the one I'm most worried you might copy because we've talked about something similar.
Okay.
I'm gonna get the date doctor from Hitch. Hitch.
You know what? I thought you meant I'm not gonna mention her name, but the one lady that does the dating stuff, the podcast.
Oh
Like that's
no,
I did not think you cared for her content. That's funny. But okay. Yes, Hitch.
no, I see a lot of that stuff.
Sure.
Yeah, Hitch. No, we should no. We're gonna go to a legit one, not one that just scams
Sure.
dudes.
Hitch.
Yeah, Hitch. I think like I said about our sports clips friends, like dating's hard for people.
Sure.
It's a struggle. So we could use this guy. Obviously, he's super charismatic, but he also provides value. So I know we've talked about getting you a date doctor, and I know a lot of us single guys out here are just looking for our Allegra Cole. That's all we want in life. So it's like maybe part of like his doing the pod, he gives out like a free session to Deb and myself,
There you go.
promo code Connectable.
There you go.
So I feel like it's a win-win-win. All three of us win.
Man, he's too cool for this podcast. Um, but yeah, that'd be a great guest. I think that episode would go crazy for sure. Yeah, it's a good
Yeah,
call.
and he has stories too. So he doesn't have the advice part, but he has the stories that get a little wild.
I love it. That's great. Also, got not that anybody cares about this except for you because it's the day before the MLB trade deadline. But I just got a notification saying the Giants traded Jorge Soler to the Braves.
Ooh,
Yeah, wasn't expecting that. Makes sense though.
I know.
Anyways, you guys aren't here for a trade deadline talk, but if you are, that just happened. Okay, so this one I feel like is another chalk one, and I feel like after this, my responses probably or my choices are probably a little bit more out there. But man, if we on this podcast we talk about random things, we talk about fun things, silly things, talk about nonsense, but then I think there's also points where we try to encourage and motivate or toss little things out there to give people some hope and encourage them with wherever they're at in life. We try to do that, and we also try to bring guests on that do the same thing. And if you're talking about someone who has the ability to connect people and is able to step into a world that he knows nothing about and make a positive impact in a major way, I think we have to go with Mr. Believe himself, Ted Lasso. I think Ted Lasso would be an awesome guest. Another guy who's just going to drop gems all the time. Some funny, some motivational, but either way, he would be a great conversation. Great, great. The mustache would be strong. We haven't had too many strong mustaches on the show. A lot of beards. We've had a lot of beards on the show, but never just a solid mustache. So a lot of things going for him, and his knowledge of soccer is not that much better than mine. So I wouldn't even feel lost in the soccer talk. But I think he'd be a fun one. He's a wild man. A lot of fun.
He was on my alternate list. You get a little international variety too.
Yeah.
So you'll be big Connectable in Richmond. What could go wrong?
What could go wrong? I think that'd be good.
He does have a lot that you're looking for. So he has the sports aspect,
Yep.
the baking, cooking.
Yep.
He's a good chef out there. So he has a lot going on for him, and he just has a lot of life experience. So I feel like he's kind of your modern day Renaissance man.
Yeah, I could have kept him for home team. That would have been even better. But decided to pick him for Connectable. Also, I did think about Sam. Sam from Ted Lasso. That'd be a very calm, soothing conversation. Just a very nice
Yeah.
guy. I think the idea of having Roy Kent is fun, but it's probably only fun for the first 5 minutes, and then I think that's going to become incredibly awkward, and it's not going to be a whole lot. He's not going to find anything funny, and he's going to be very angry. And then I think it's like, you know what, this might be our shortest episode ever. He's fun to watch, but in short spurts.
You would almost need to do like when you do Travis and Melissa, you need to do Roy and Keely. So you need to have her balance them out a little bit because she'll provide the energy and
Sure.
90% of the talking, and you just need his last 10% to push it over the edge.
His little comment, his mean comments here and there. So yeah, so Ted Lasso, that's my second one.
Okay, my third one. Honestly, it's kind of, I don't even think I need to explain this, but I will. It's just, this guy's just kind of a quote machine. So you'd be able to get your little clips that you like for social media. And again, I'm going to put down your previous guests. None of them are winners like this one, because in my mind and my guest's mind, if you're not first, you're last. And we're going to go Ricky Bobby.
He was my
Ricky Bobby
first alternate.
he would drive circles around all your other guests in terms of just, lines per minute.
Sure.
And again, he's a winner.
You know what? You know where he would be the most exciting? Obviously, it would be a great episode, but I think where he'd be the most exciting is when we do the end of the year tournament. I think the amount of competitiveness that would come out of him and campaigning that would come out of him, honestly, he might want to win that competition so badly that he would rip off the Fig Newton sticker, the decal, and put a big Connectable podcast without us paying. He might just do it for free just to win a little belt that he could have bought a long time ago. But that's a great call. Ricky Bobby's a good call.
See, and you could even, I know this is kind of cheating. You pair him with Cal Naughton.
That's good. We'll shake.
And it will shake and bake.
I like that.
But I don't know why you wouldn't want Ricky Bobby, number one NASCAR driver in the world.
We've never had a NASCAR driver or any kind of driver on this show, so that'd be great. Yeah, he was number one on my alternate list. So very good call.
There we go.
Yeah, like you said, he would be a quote machine for sure.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he's a wild guy. Let's see. All right, so this one, I decided to step outside of the box and step outside of the real world and go to the animated world. I thought there's no rules to this, so we can bring a cartoon on this bad boy. And this guy just knows how to have fun. And he knows how to have fun. He knows how to rally the troops. He knows how to be a leader in some of the most wild and crazy situations. And I think especially people my age, probably anywhere between my age and your age, have a connection with this dude and with his crew. And I think it put a different perspective on Recess, and that would be Mr. TJ Detweiler.
I thought about him.
Yeah.
So are you getting him as a kid or as an adult?
I think it would be easier if you got him as a kid, because I think the stories are fresh and he's in it. He's in the middle of the battle. Honestly, I think TJ Detweiler would have a podcast right now. He'd probably have a very successful podcast. He seems like the kind of dude that would have a podcast, and it would probably be killing it right now. But I think, yeah, having him in the Recess mode, I think would be awesome. Because the crazy stories that you see I don't know how many years that show lasted or how many episodes they did, but that's just what they're showing you. There's so many other stories that dude would have about the craziness that was happening on the playground. And if you could tap into that, I think some of those stories would be insane. He's only sharing a little bit, and I think there's a lot more that could, like, that deep dive of Recess would probably be pretty wild. So I think, and he's a storyteller. He's a leader. He knows how to, like I said, how to connect with people and rally the troops. That dude would kill it. Now, he might think this podcast womps, but I think in general, he would enjoy the conversation.
He might be the greatest fictional leader that I know. He
might be. You're not going to trust any of the goofs from Big Mouth. Those psychopaths.
No.
That's going to lead you. And I couldn't have those guys on the podcast because they're little monsters. It's a hilarious show, but
they too would have a problem with Deb.
Yeah,
probably
100%. Yeah, was it? The hormone monster would be going crazy.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
So yeah, so
Teacher and massage therapist? You
yeah,
kidding me?
yeah. That's
Sorry,
my
Deb.
best impression of him. So yeah, I go with TJ Detweiler is my next one.
That's a great call. We could probably get him in there like a connectable shirt or something, some apparel, so he's not wearing the same thing.
I'd get him a hat. He's known for the backwards hat. Isn't
The
there an episode
backwards
where he
hat.
loses
There
his
we go.
hat?
I think his hair always looks weird. It
It's
felt
weird.
wrong.
So you should never wear
It's like a seeing like a luchador without his mask. Like it just feels
100%.
off.
Yeah, a little Rey
It's just
Mysterio.
like no TJ Detweiler. Yeah, exactly.
Man, the
TJ
first time I saw
Detweiler needs
him,
his mask.
first time I saw Rey Mysterio without his mask, for any wrestling fans out there, I'm like, this is not right. I should not be able to see your face. And it was a little jarring.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, if you're wearing a mask as a pro wrestler, there's a reason. Whether it's like Kane, like they all have a reason for wearing a mask, and you know, it's not to look cool; it's to
No,
hide some stuff.
it's to make you more marketable, not scare the children.
Yeah,
And can you imagine that?
yeah,
Kane has a mask because he doesn't want to scare the kids. That's
yeah,
that's ironic. So, anyways,
yes.
TJ Detweiler.
Okay, I think I'm on my fourth one. So this might be a little bit of a stretch for you, but hear me out because
All
I
right.
know you're anti this type of stuff.
Oh,
Um,
Johnny
I
Bananas.
think. uh, so I think what would take this, we've talked about celebrity, and you've had like famous, somewhat famous, I'm gonna say famous people. You've had famous people
Sure.
on podcasts, like recording artists, athletes, all that stuff, but you've never had someone in the political space. So I'm gonna go with the world's first female president in Veep, Miss Selena Meyer.
Oh,
Now I know what
okay.
you're thinking is you don't do politics, but good thing for you is neither really does Selena. So basically, what you're going to bring Selena on for is, once again, sorry, Deb, but I feel like you and Selena would kind of tag team and roast Deb because that's kind of what she does in her as a VP, as a president. So I don't think you have to worry about too much politics. But again, just for the roast humor that I know you like, I think there's no one better than Selena Meyer to give a nice roast to people. So
Nice.
you get the bump of a former president, but then you also get the fun side. So you know, I think
I like it.
that's what I would go with.
All right.
Gotta have a president on here.
You're right. We don't do the politics on this show. Two reasons. One, I'm not interested. Two, I don't know anything about it. So I would not be the person. You don't want to come here for your political news. But with the roast thing, and I know you've said that before, but I need to check that show out. I've never seen it. I know it's an awesome show, but I need to check it out. And you may have just sold me on that. See if she would be good on the podcast. I need to do my own research.
I think she has a few, a little bit of speaking thing that you might need to cover up, some mishaps. But, like I said, I think for roast per minute, there's no one better. So that whole show, it's just, roast per minute, it's the highest of any show I've seen at least.
Okay. Well,
So if you like mean spirited humor, like me, that's going to be your show. So I'm going to bring President Selena Meyer in.
all right. Sounds good. I like it. All right. My number four. Now, so my number four is a selfish one, and this is for uh, my younger self. And this is one that I said, you know what? My wife doesn't listen to the podcast. That's okay. I'm kidding. I actually told her to her face. I said, just so you know, this is one of my, because you're like, hey, who are your top five? I said, this is one of them. And just so you know, I love you very much. But if I had the opportunity to get this person on the podcast, I'm going to have her on the podcast. And so this person goes back to my childhood growing up. I remember specifically during summertime seeing reruns of different TV shows. And one of our favorites, especially me and my sister growing up, was Saved by the Bell. And if I had the chance to sit down with Kelly Kapowski on this podcast, I'm going to do it. Now, I'm doing this not just selfishly, but I know that a lot of our listeners probably also connected with that show. And probably similar to me, that was like their TV crush was Kelly Kapowski. She was always very sweet on the show. She's a beautiful person. And I think that would be a lot of fun. Now, it's a risk for me because I think it could potentially be a problem. Because like if I go back in time and I think back to my younger days when you have a TV crush on her, I might not be able to get the questions out. I might struggle with some of the conversation. And then it's going to become a problem on the podcast. It might sound stupid. And after I leave this office and I have to look at my wife face to face, she is not going to be happy with me. I know that. So I got to really make sure that my marriage is in a good spot before I would book that podcast. I think I could do it, but I also know Rachel, and she's going to be like, you're an idiot. At the same time, Rachel is also very comfortable, and she knows I would never have a shot. So she's like, you can interview whoever you want. Doesn't really matter. So that being said, though, I used to love that show growing up, and I think that would be a fun one for sure. Fun dream podcast guest.
Yeah. I don't know of a woman, especially like more your age, kind of in your 30s, that has a higher approval rating amongst dudes.
It's true. It's true.
Like, I think, I don't even know who the equivalent for me would be for like my age. I know like Jennifer Fox was like a big deal,
I don't know who that
but
is.
like Megan Fox.
Okay. Yeah.
Jennifer's body, Megan Fox, because Jennifer's body was a big deal in like the high school.
I
There
see
you
where
go.
I see where the
Yeah,
confusion
the
happened.
wires crossed. But like
Hey, hold on.
maybe
Didn't you
her.
didn't you know someone? And if I need to edit this out, or we just won't go any further. Didn't you know someone that saw that movie with a family member?
I'm sure I do. I don't recall it though.
Okay, maybe it wasn't you. Maybe I'm thinking of someone I went to college with. I remember someone telling
Yeah.
a story that they took their dad to it. It was a daughter, and she took her dad to it. She's like, it was very uncomfortable. He didn't realize what Jennifer's body was all about, and then he found out, and then I found out, and it was a problem.
It sounds familiar, but I can't picture it in my mind. But yeah, she went on like that run because it was like Transformers movie, which were a big deal
Sure,
growing up,
sure,
and then she kind of just took that turn with like Jennifer's body and some other things. So,
sure.
um,
MGK.
but no, I don't know of anyone that has a higher approval rating amongst dudes your age. You're right. Rachel has nothing to be worried about because I mean she has Zach Morris too, right? I mean that's who she ends up with.
I think so. I
I mean
never
Zach
watched
Morris.
the other show, the new show. I think our sister did, but I think that's what happens. Yeah,
In my mind, they're together,
sure.
and Zach Morris is basically T.J. Detweiler grown up. I mean, I
Very
feel like
true.
just they're a natural leader, handsome,
Yeah,
good at everything,
funny, the whole thing. So yeah, there's no
little
problem
pinch of
there.
mischief.
Yeah, little mischief can just
Yeah,
pause the room whenever he wants to break the fourth wall. The dude can do a lot of things. So yeah,
yeah. So,
it would be a fun one. Not like I said, I told her on this podcast, and she just shook her head. She's like, "You're so stupid." I said, "I know, but that's why I get to do a podcast. I get to share my stupid thoughts with everybody." But yeah, Kelly Kapowski, and I know it's always a big deal. Like you had like Topanga from Boy Meets World, Kelly Kapowski. You know, hey, you know what? I'm sure you're not alone. I'm sure other people feel that way too. There's a couple other
and
shows
I
out
know
there.
a lot of people feel the other way
I know
too. The exact
it's a
opposite.
divisive. I don't know if we've talked about this on the podcast before. I know you gave me a shout out on Twitter, which I appreciate you defending me. But I've talked in when I was in high school, my senior year in English class, which I'm not going to say the teacher's name, but it was barely a class. Like I got extra credit for stacking books, and he just assumed that I shouldn't be in the class because of
It's like notorious around school.
yeah, it's yeah,
Like, hey, senior year, take this,
this
and
specific
you know,
teacher, and you don't do anything. I didn't realize that, and I found out like, oh, I got like an A plus plus. But
whenever you hear those rumors, you think, nah, I can't. This is a school, like it can't be that bad. And every single rumor like that, it's always true. You don't do anything in those
no,
classes.
not at all. It's like we did nothing in that class. But the first day we did the icebreaker stuff, and so we partnered up, and you had to ask this person questions. And one of the questions this guy who I was partnered with asked me was, "Hey, who do you prefer?" Especially I graduated 2006, so you try to put yourself back in that time and culture. But he said, "Who do you prefer, Hillary Duff or Lindsay Lohan?" Now, for me, without a question, it was Hillary Duff. And so gave him my answer. He goes up in front of the class. He's like, "Hey, this is Josh. He loves baseball, da 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 da." And the last thing he said was, and he prefers uh, Hillary Duff over Lindsay Lohan. I'm a likable person. I've said this before. I get along with people. I'm easygoing. I've never felt so much hatred in that room amongst every single guy in the classroom, minus the teacher. He didn't say anything, luckily. But every dude in that class was like booing me. Like I feel like they were throwing paper at me. It's like, what are you thinking? You're wrong. I'm like, I feel confident in my answer, but like, I definitely feel your guys' hate right now. It's like all these years that we've gone to school together. Finally, last semester, you're like, screw that guy. He doesn't know what he's talking about. And so I'm like, all right, fine, that's fine. I still pick my pick, but I understand that this was not a popular choice. That being said, I think today, 2024, my choice holds up, and their choice does not for a lot of reasons. But I'm just saying, I think I won that argument. I was ahead of my time, and so to anybody who was in that class during that time and was booing me, screw you, because I was right. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, I think there was like that middle period where like it was real bad. Like it wasn't close. Like it was stop the fight. Like not, I do see Lindsay Lohan in like more commercials now, so she's kind of making a comeback. But then there were like pictures circulating about who's the other one? What's her name? I'm losing with
Hillary
names these
Duff.
days. Hillary Duff. There's some pictures floating around of her like after like a kickboxing class, and it's like, yeah, I mean, my guy still wins. So
Yeah,
it was a good long play for sure. I mean, I think it was good short term too, because I agree. But I think there was like kind of a weird Lindsay Lohan bubble where people liked certain aspects of her lifestyle that was appealing. But I
sure.
think just pound for pound, yeah, Hillary Duff.
That's all I'm gonna say. So I just want to take this time to defend myself and say I was okay. I made the right choice. But anyways,
Yeah.
that's mine. Kelly Kapowski. Like I said, my wife listens to it. No, she doesn't listen to it, but she might search this podcast for this specific clip. I'm sorry, Rachel, but yeah, I'm picking Kelly to interview on a podcast.
I feel like most women of your age, they understand it too. It's just like
That's a good point.
it's one of those people like if you had a fictional hall pass, your wife would be like, it does it's not right, but I understand it.
Sure.
Which kind of leads me to my next person because I know for both genders, this is a man that people have a fond place in their heart for. And it's kind of I know it's been deemed his kind of summer the past 2 years, so we're gonna go with Hangman from Top Gun Maverick,
Ooh, very nice.
specifically Glenn Powell. Like you said, I feel like if that's a hall pass for men and women,
Sure.
no, who's arguing with that?
Very
He's
true.
like the hottest dude around right now.
He's a pretty cool guy.
And his specific character in Top Gun Maverick, in my opinion, the best character.
Yeah.
I know I've gotten pushback from that. If you want to say Maverick, I get it, but Hangman, I mean, just for a new character, like he's just the best, and it shows in the movies he's got. He's got all these blockbusters coming out now. Just saw Twisters, so uh, he might be the coolest character of the past. I don't know, 15 years. Hangman, Top Gun, Maverick.
That's a great call. I'm very good.
And I feel like we've gotten some guys that would flirt with Deb. I feel like this is Deb's revenge because Deb can flirt with Top Gun or Hangman.
Sure. Oh yeah, no, I think I wouldn't even be present for that podcast. I don't think. I think I'd just be like just dead weight, and he would just talk to her the whole time. It's like, hey man, I'm here too. He's like, shut up, Josh.
Yeah,
Like I'm Hangman. What do you want me to talk to you about? Get out of here.
yeah, just completely. He's just a guy that completely just owns the moment. So I think you have the quotes, but he has that supreme confidence, that pilot confidence.
Sure.
That's like, man. Spoiler alert: I've saved Maverick and Rooster, and our little brother's a big Rooster guy. I don't know who's a big Rooster fan.
Probably a few
Like
people out there, but yeah,
you didn't watch the movie if you find Rooster appealing. Okay,
especially in
I what
battle, he's gonna
why?
make you a little nervous.
Yeah, why is a character that's trash 97% of the movie? Why is that appealing?
Yeah, he would be
So
a,
yeah,
he'd be a great interview for sure.
he'd be wild,
I feel like he would try to do a
and he
podcast
might.
from his plane.
That would be cool. And I'm going to be honest. Again, I'm offending all of your former guests and co-hosts. He might be able to take the crown from Travis Cole as the hottest man on your podcast.
Oh, hold on. Be
I'm gonna
careful.
throw down.
Be
I'm gonna
careful.
throw down the gauntlet. I'm sorry, and you know what? I've seen the workout videos. Travis is getting into really good shape. His hour of fitness a day, but I mean it's Hangman. So
Honestly, Travis would probably prefer that because then I can stop making my jokes about his appearance. So he's like, you know what?
you can stop glazing
Yeah,
Travis
he's like,
Cole.
yeah, exactly. He's like, I prefer. Come on, Glenn, hop on the podcast so we don't have to. I don't have to deal with this
Yeah.
nonsense anymore.
Yeah, nothing wrong, Travis, with being the second hottest on the Connectable podcast. Okay.
Yeah. There you go. Yeah, there you go. That's a good call. Hangman from Top Gun Maverick. I love it. Was that your fifth one?
That was my fifth one, and my phone just died.
Uh-oh. Well, perfect. So you got through it with your notes. All right. So I've got, okay, this is my fifth one. And this one, I don't know how many people are aware of this person. Um, this was something that I can speak for myself and Jordan. This this figure was very prominent in our lives as we were growing up. Um, Brought a lot of entertainment, and just the other day, you brought this person up, and it brought a lot of entertainment and joy to us and laughter. Even just mentioning this dude's name. And like I said, if you're maybe a little bit older, I don't know what years this person spanned, but I think if you're a little bit older, and you were a big SNL fan, then you would know this. But I'm going with our boy Mr. Bill, the Play-Doh King.
That's right. We did talk about that. No, that would be a. I don't know how long the podcast would last. I think he would get just murked
Yeah,
midway through, which I guess that would be good content. But
he's like, oh no, the Connectable podcast.
oh man,
So
that'd be
I'm
like
going
something
with
like
Mr.
that'd be
Bill.
something like that'd be like something like live podcast. Bring Mr. Bill and like Deb's dog eats him.
Here comes Dad's dog. So if anybody's not familiar with Mr. Bill, like I said, if you're an SNL fan, which it's funny, I'm not even an SNL fan, but I know that was a segment that they did back in the day. I'm not sure what years that spanned, but our Aunt Renee introduced us to that. We had a VHS tape with it was Mr. Bill's greatest hits. It was a whole VHS tape with just Mr. Bill. And if you don't know what Mr. Bill is, he is a Play-Doh man, and he would talk, and they would do these little sketches where he would talk, but the whole bit was he never survived it, and he was always assisted by his friend Mr. Hands. It was just like a hand that came in on the screen and would move Mr. Bill, and he would talk to him. And then there was Sluggo, right? There was Sluggo, which was like the stud Play-Doh guy, and would always cause problems for Mr. Bill. And you had Mr. Bill's dog. Was it Spike? Was that his name?
I can't remember.
I can't remember what the dog's name was, but it was Mr. Bill's dog. And Mr. Bill and his dog never survived these things. He got smashed. He got put in blenders. He got eaten by sharks.
Electrocuted, yeah.
Yeah, cut in half, put in a lawnmower. And so it was very funny. We always felt bad for Mr. Bill, but you also wanted to find out exactly how he was going to get chopped up in the next episode. So, and his line was like, "Oh, they're going to be mean to me," like a really high pitched voice. So I'm sure I've seen it like those places those like novelty places like Hot Topic places like that, Spencer's. You'll see stuff like his stuff in there every once in a while. So and maybe he's more popular than I think. But like I said, I don't know what his rating is with people, but I know in our household, in the Takimoto household, that was a video that we would pop on quite a bit. And yeah, seeing Mr. Bill get smashed was a lot of fun. So yeah, I think it'd be a great guest. Like you said, you got to go quick because as soon as you see a hand come in, his time's over. And
Right.
so you got to get the answers out of him quick. I think he'd also be very nervous. I think he knows that his life expectancy is pretty short, and so I think he'd probably think the podcast is a setup to get smashed again.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it would be awkward. I don't know how many clips you're gonna get because, like you said, he's gonna be nervous. So I think it's definitely gonna be a more awkward one. But I feel like it's like an M. Night Shyamalan podcast. It's like you never know what's gonna get them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So and honestly, that would really be the only clip that I would need. Sorry, Mr. Bill. I would love to have a conversation with you, but the one clip that I absolutely would have to get is how he exits, the podcast, which is, is going to be rough for him. So if I get that clip, that's what's going to make people laugh. So I just got to get that one clip.
Then you could do like a true crime thing and get Mr. Hands.
Yeah.
to talk it. So it's like a 2-for-1. Mr. Bill and then True Crime. What killed Mr. Bill?
Sure. See, there you go. We can stretch out the marketing of this for a little bit. So yeah, it's my fifth, Mr. Bill. I saved him for last. I felt like that was gonna be a good curveball.
That was a good one. I didn't expect that.
Yeah, there you go. So, um, did you have any? Do you want to toss out because we're almost at time here. We're actually doing pretty good as far as keeping this thing tight. We did a lot in a decent amount of time. But do you want to toss out one of your honorable mentions before we get out of here?
Ooh. Um. So this one is actually topical, but and again, it's someone that's a good personality, clippable, but also done a lot, and that would have been Tony Stark,
I almost had him
not
on there.
Doctor Doom. So and he gives you kind of a little bit of everything. So you can talk about some of his business ventures, some of his romantic adventures, some of his travel adventures, some of his fighting adventures. You kind of got it all with Tony Stark. The other one, which I know would go to your straight to your heart, and I'm not sure how you do this because you'd probably be in some sort of danger. But what if you got like the Joker, take like a dark turn?
I thought about that as well. Yeah, if I was going to pick that one, I was going to say I have to be in a place of safety,
Yeah,
and my
you
life
have to be
can't be
with
in
Batman.
danger.
Yeah, with Batman.
I gotta have Batman on my shoulder. It's like, hey man, just watch
Yeah,
my back. But yeah, you get some wild story, and that one would be so far off the rails that but people would love that. People love the true
people
crime stuff, and so
sickos would.
if you get like a true, the Prince of Crime, you
Yeah.
know, that's pretty good. So that's not a bad one.
No, I feel like you could finally hear how he got those
There you
scars,
go.
without someone
Put
dying.
a smile on some people's faces.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll say this though. There's like I'd be cool with the Jack Nicholson Joker. I'd be cool with Heath Ledger Joker. I'm good on the Joaquin Phoenix one. It was an
Yeah.
interesting movie, but like I'm not gonna have a conversation with him. And
We don't
the
need someone
Jared
doing bad
Leto
bit.
Joker can kick
That's
rocks.
safe for me.
Want no part of Jared Leto Joker. The people who like the Jared Leto Joker, that's insane to me. He's terrible.
I can't think of anything I like Jared Leto in.
Ooh. All right. I mean, to be honest with you, I might be in the same boat. I don't know. I don't watch much with Jared Leto.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not. Was it 30 Seconds to Mars?
Yeah, I don't know his music.
Yeah,
I will say this:
he creeps me out. He
he
creeps
the
me
way
out.
he doesn't age is insane. Like he looks like he could be my age, but he is much older.
Hmm.
Good for him. However you do it, good for you, sir. But I don't want you on the podcast as the Joker. So
Hmm.
I was, one of the people I put. Oh, first, so I want to go back to the Tony Stark thing. You know what? The scene that makes me think that he'd kill it with a podcast is the first scene of Iron Man when he's in the Humvee with the soldiers and just that whole interaction where he's talking to them, taking the pictures, talking about the models that he dated, like that whole interaction. I'm like, this guy would kill on a podcast.
Ooh, see, I was actually thinking of one of the early courtroom scene in
And
two
two, that's pretty good too.
when he just dominates Justin Hammer. I mean, that he just talks circles around him.
You can get him and Hammer in the same, which not a popular opinion. You and I both enjoy Iron Man 2. People do not really care for that one, but if you get Hammer and Tony Stark in the same room for a podcast, that'd be a fun little back and forth.
Fun little back and forth. Yeah,
It
exactly.
would, it would like
Because
you said,
I
a beat down for sure, but still,
right, I like Hammer as a villain. I'm a Hammer guy.
he's funny. It's called what's he called the
He's
ex. This is what called the ex-wife.
yeah,
He's a funny
yeah,
guy.
yeah.
I do enjoy that courtroom scene. Well, so one of the ones I had. So I'm going to pair these two together because these are again similar to the Joker in the sense that this would potentially be a bad like a bad person to have on the podcast. But if you're taking the danger out of it, just personality, it'd be fantastic. I'm a huge Justified fan, and the main villain in that is Boyd Crowder, who's played by Walton Goggins, who has just been killing it lately as far as his roles on TV. If you haven't seen that show, his character is amazing, and just the way he speaks, the Southern accent, just how quickly he talks and how quickly he thinks, that would be a lot of fun. And then the other one would be Alonzo from Training Day, the character Denzel plays.
I figured
King
we'd get
Kong,
some sort of
you know,
Denzel.
that would be a fun one. But like I don't need the rough Russian mafia after me after he's on the podcast. Like, you know, I don't need it. I don't need him to. I didn't realize you like to get wet, Josh. Like, it's giving me PCP. I try to avoid all that stuff. So it would have to be
Yeah.
Zoom only.
Yeah, no, that's a good choice. I figured Denzel was going to be there at some point. I just didn't know which movie.
Yeah, that would be
But that's probably the one.
he would be on my list of like real guests, which maybe we'll do one day. He would be on he would be high on that list of dream guests that are actually real. But yeah, Alonzo from Training Day, one of my favorite movies, would be awesome. Uh, he's definitely got the most personality. Like my favorite movie is Man on Fire. Creasy's probably not a guy you want to have a conversation with. He's probably not gonna be the most fun on a podcast. Alonzo's gonna be a lot of fun, and it's just gonna be, you're not sure the stories that guy could tell would be insane. Probably a lot of them that would get us, if we were a monetized podcast, would probably get us demonetized very quickly. But it would get clicks for sure
Same with the his character in Flight, right? You can get some stories out of that guy.
if he's sober. If he's sober
Or not.
or not, maybe not. I don't know. That's good. Yeah, there's so many people. If you guys are listening, when we post this, let us know who your dream fictional guest would be, because I'm sure there's so many people. I almost thought like even someone like Mickey Mouse or like Bugs Bunny, like the fact like Bugs Bunny has done so much over the years. He did Space Jam with Michael Jordan, also did Space Jam
Mm.
2 with LeBron. So he's rubbing shoulders with celebrities, but he's been doing his thing forever. There's people like that too. Like you probably have some great stories, but decided to go with this 5 instead
Yeah, and I mean, who knows? Maybe Bugs Bunny. That's might be a good choice years down the road when he does 3 with Bronny.
with
You
Bronny
know,
James.
completes the triangle, and then you can ask him and see how it was working with all 3.
Yeah, who's the best? Who's the greatest? He might have some
He's
good
the
insight into
greatest.
that.
Yeah, yeah,
Um, Perfect. Well, that was fun. That was a good episode. Good suggestion by you, sir. That was a fun episode. Who knows? Maybe we'll do that one down the road again, because I feel like this one could have gone longer, and I had a lot more options that I could have done, but I really limited it. Even my honorable mentions, you know, Also, what? Rich Aunt Deb might be a fun fictional guest to have on the podcast. Don't get on the same
maybe.
podcast with Glenn Powell though.
Yeah, that's a problem.
Yeah, Rich Aunt Deb sees that. It's like, yeah, I'm a Hangman fan. I'm not gonna say what I was gonna say. Let's stop. Let's wrap the podcast up there. Let's wrap it up. So, as always, thank you for helping out and stepping in for this podcast today. And do you want the people to follow you anywhere? Do you want the people to follow you on X or Twitter so they can get more haircut content?
Sure. Yeah, just at Jordan Takimoto.
Boom,
So yeah.
everywhere on Instagram, on Twitter, all those things. He doesn't do TikTok because he's smart and he doesn't have to. And I hate TikTok. The more I do it, the more I hate it.
It's a red flag if a dude's too on TikTok. It should be just kind of you're just put on some sort of list. I don't know what list, but a list if you're on TikTok as a dude.
It's the same. It's the same guy that asked for the seven plus
Yeah.
at sports clips.
Yep.
Yeah. Hopefully they get that figured out next time you get a haircut, and they put a stop to that, because that's an abuse of power that is not good,
Yes.
especially that many MVP. It's a wild thought.
I don't know anyone that has that many MVPs.
Jeez. And he's like, yeah, cool, 3, and he was ordering threes.
Yeah. Yeah.
He was like, maybe one more. He's just like, yeah, give me a 3-pack.
It was like a bunch of bananas. He was just ordering like 5 at a time.
3 more
He,
bananas.
he, he was ordering short stacks of rub downs.
It's like one of those value packs. He's like, give me a Mad Dog firework.
Yeah.
Put it together with the Liberty, and like we'll bundle this set of fireworks. Man,
Yeah.
that guy's wild. Well, hopefully he feels relaxed. So if you're listening, I hope you're relaxed now, because that poor woman has carpal tunnel now. Anyways, you guys can follow us on Facebook and Instagram and TikTok at Connectable Podcast, on X or Twitter at Connectable Pod. And then also make sure you head over to your favorite podcast app to subscribe to the show. Also on YouTube, subscribe to our channel there. And if you would be so kind, please give us a 5-star rating and review on Apple Podcast and Spotify. We would definitely appreciate it. And hey, if someone's looking for a podcast and they're like, hey, do you know any new podcast? You could send them Rogan. You could send them to some Barstool podcast, or you could help out the little guy and send them these podcasts. That would help us out a lot. So please help us spread the word, let people know. And yeah, we will be back with another episode with Deb next week. And I will be sure to tell her all the different timestamps for all the times her name was mentioned on this. This might be the last time that her and Jordan have any kind of relationship, but it was good while it lasted. It was good while it lasted. So, all right, you guys, we'll see you next week. See ya. Thanks for watching the show. If you enjoyed that episode, make sure you like it, share it, and hit the subscribe button to get a new episode every week. We'll see you next time on the Connectable Podcast.